The last thing you want to hear when you need your auto insurance most is a robot with countless irrelevant menu options. Which is why with USAA Auto Insurance, you'll get great service that is easy and reliable, all at the touch of a button. Get a quote today. Restrictions apply.
Hilton brings you new ways to stay, with experiences that let you capture the glory days. Introducing the Graduate Hotels. Each inspired by local college towns, these stays are always original and never boring. Get in touch with traditions all across the country and enjoy a stay that's a class above the rest. Book at Graduate Hotels with Hilton Honors Points at Hilton.com. It's a win-win. Hilton, for the stay.
Hi, it's Dave here. This is my wife, Kathy.
Hello.
This is the Cinemile. It's the podcast where we walk home from the movies. Today we're going to see Final Destination Bloodlines, the first Final Destination film in, 15 years or something. Final Destination 5 was in 2011, it says. So 14 years. Yeah, a long time coming. And don't forget, the movie The Final Destination was number 4. So I love when that happens in a horror franchise. They're like, this is it, the last one. We'll certainly never do any more of these.
Yeah, but they've left enough of a break that it's respectable legacy sequel time. It's funny because I never realised, we've probably never discussed Final Destination until this reboot was announced, and Dave got really excited.
I don't think it's a reboot. I think it's a sequel.
Sequel. I never knew I was married to a massive Final Destination fan. It's been interesting for me to find out.
Yeah, I love it.
Just how into it you are.
We rewatched the first one recently, and we had a chat about it this morning over on our Patreon page. So head over to patreon.com/the Cinemile if you want to hear us ramble on about Final Destination and all of its original movies.
Yeah.
But we're here to talk about Bloodlines. I have seen a couple of the trailers for this, and they have been awesome because they don't tell you anything about the movie. They just show you some gruesome deaths, which is what this series is all about.
They show us what we're here for.
Exactly, that's it. The star of these movies is watching people in elaborate Rube Goldberg type scenarios where everyday objects are hitting off each other and creating absolute death traps and freak
if you see
accidents.
someone slicing vegetables in this franchise, you're like, no!
Exactly, it's
the knife down!
Everyday activities. And there's a trampoline involved in this. There was a particularly good scene in the first trailer in a tattoo studio, which I really enjoyed. So
we did enjoy on Patreon talking about all the deaths in the first movie. They're fabulously elaborate. It's a reason that I think these movies are much more fun than their kind of slasher equivalent that were coming out around the same time, like the Screams, because actually Scream movies can just get really depressing and you're just watching, people being stabbed. Whereas this is something different, and the fact that we've an invisible villain with no kind of malintent, it's just death doing his thing. It just makes you enjoy it a bit more. We were kind of thinking back on the famous scenes. Dave was thinking of the logs from the second one, which they've done big stunts around with this movie, and I was thinking back on the roller coaster, which one of our patrons messaged us on Big Kitty to say that I was thinking of the third movie on that one. And I remember watching the roller coaster in the cinema. So it's quite a legendary franchise. I'm surprised they didn't bring it back sooner.
Well, here's the things that you need in a Final Destination film, which we will be checking off as we watch it, right? You have to have an opening scene in which a horrific accident occurs, in which several people are horrifically killed, and then it turns out one of the protagonists has had a vision, and then they prevent it from happening and therefore cheat death. Now,
why does death allow these visions? Are the visions God?
Oh, I'm sure the visions are outside of Death's control. Death is trying to correct the natural order.
Yeah.
Death's not happy about these visions one bit.
From what I remember, and I certainly don't remember the whole franchise, I never remember us getting any sort of explanation for the visions. It's like, oh, the visions just happened. The problem is we cheated death.
That's not true. You get loads of explanations. You get Tony Todd showing up in a morgue and just ominously saying things like, once you cheat death, death will come for you.
Exactly. The explanations are around death is coming for you, not why have I had this incredibly elaborate visual premonition.
Well, maybe this movie will finally deliver a whole exposition dump about, it'll be like, in the past there was the ones we called the Seers.
Exactly.
And their blood was passed down for generations.
This is what we need, because we've been kind of speculating about this one, knowing nothing about it. Because it's Bloodlines, I think it's the girlfriend from the first Final Destination somehow was pregnant with Devon Sewell's baby, and we're going to find out.
Well, it's certainly got to. Surely, it's got something to do with a hereditary, a child from one of those original cast
Has
members
to be original.
is born and is probably older in this now and should never have lived because they're supposed to have died.
Exactly, right.
And so it passes on.
I mean, that may be the case, or else they just thought Bloodlines was a cool name, because also, who really remembers... Who's hanging around remembering all the characters from the first one? I know we just rewatched it, but a few of our patrons have said they were rewatching it like this week. Like, it is a big deal, especially I think people our age.
It's a
Us
fun...
elder millennials, we're into it.
It's just a fun franchise, and I am so excited for this one.
Yeah,
so
me too.
here we go. Final Destination Bloodlines. See you soon.
Bye.
Family, you don't get to pick the one you get. Just gotta love the one you got.
I always knew this day would come.
I got it.
I don't think you got it.
I held him off for years.
Charlie, get up here.
He's a relentless son of a bitch. Won't stop till he finishes the job. Death is coming for our family.
Okay, hi, we're back. We've seen Final Destination Bloodlines. We're just out of it, and if it's your first time here at the Cinemile, we will not spoil the movie until, of course, we turn on to Spoiler Street, which is on our way home. Kathy,
Dave.
how you feeling? Are you as nervous
I'm
as I
thrilled.
am looking
I'm looking
around,
everywhere.
looking at the
There's
leaf
wind
blower
chimes.
over there, and
There's wind chimes everywhere.
so many wind chimes.
That was honestly more than I dreamed it would be.
It was brilliant.
It was better than I dreamed it would be. If you're listening and you haven't watched it yet, I really, really recommend going off and watching the first one, which is on Netflix, which is where we watched it and then reviewed it for Patreon. And then come back and watch this, because it's like the best sequel slash homage slash whatever you want to call it. It was absolutely fantastic to watch it, and so many references to the first one, but in a very good way that we'll talk about on spoilers,
There's a lot of fun references to all the other ones as well.
which I can't remember, so
Yeah.
I didn't even clock those ones. The opening death premonition was
Oh,
beyond my wildest dreams.
spectacular.
20 minutes of cinema. Like I'm looking at Mission Impossible because we're excited for that, and I'm like, phew, this was pretty big.
Sorry, what do you compare? You can't compare
Spectacle.
Mission Impossible to this.
I'm saying the tension and the spectacle of
Sure.
the opening scene
Yeah.
is pretty unmatched.
Oh.
Is incredible, and I can't wait to talk about it in spoilers. Like, phenomenal. I can't really overemphasize how much I love the opening scene. We were just like, sitting there. Such a good buzz to watch this franchise in the cinema. Like, it was a quiet enough screen, but like everyone was so into it and laughing and screaming and gasping. It was really fun. So like, really watch it on a big screen. And then it just had really good like Lego sequel vibes as well. Do you know what it was reminding me of a bit? Remember when Halloween came back?
Yeah.
Jamie Lee Curtis came back.
Which is based. There's like basically the
giving me-
same character as in this.
It was giving me a lot of that, those vibes. Had such a good time with it. The acting was brilliant. It was so well written. The death scenes were fantastic. There was so much tension and a lot of humour. So yeah, absolutely, Paul. Loved it. Dave, what did you think?
I think it's perfect. 10 out of 10. No
Yeah.
notes. I think it's one of the best films of the year. I loved it.
Genuinely brilliant.
I had such a great time. I was just non-stop. I was laughing out loud. It is so funny.
So funny.
Not just like funny at how shocking the deaths are, but like it's often, I thought, I gotta say, all the cast, they didn't have to, often in these movies, you don't have to hire, like the actors and the characters are not interesting necessarily. They don't have to be. That's not what you're there for. But I honestly thought the casting in this movie was bang on.
Yeah.
Everyone was great. There's a lot of good like comic relief moments in this. Very funny. It's novel. It plays with the audience's expectations. Often if you're a fan of this franchise, or even if you're just watching it for the first time, it's setting up your expectations and it gives you different payoffs.
Yeah.
It's having fun. This is an incredibly winky kind of movie. Like it's self-referential, but in a good way. It's in dialogue with the audience, and it itself is laughing at itself. But also none of that undercuts the tension. Like you have to.
So tense.
The tone is right. Like the characters who are in it are really fearful for their lives, and in these moments, they are incredibly tense because it's so like there's an art to making these type of movies, and I think this is an incredibly well edited movie. I don't think horror films necessarily always get the credit that the editing team deserve, but the tension of just showing
wind chime.
Just showing an object. You show a wind chime. You show a character looking at something, and then you just show an ordinary object like a match or a toothpick, and suddenly it is loaded with tension, and you are on the edge of your seat, trying to figure out
so tense.
What's going to happen. And honestly, I had such a ball. So
I think, like, having just rewatched the first one and not really remembering the others, I'm confident in saying this is the best Final Destination movie that's ever been made.
It's very good because actually this isn't. We will talk about it in Spoiler Street, but the plot is not what we thought it was going to be. I thought it was better. I was actually very surprised and pleasantly surprised with the plot that was put together. This is very well written.
It's honestly a very good script, and
really good.
One of the issues we had with the first film, when we were reviewing that, was there's a few characters who were real background. All the characters in this have their moment, have their story. Yeah. And I actually really cared about them and kind of didn't want them to die, which can't be said for most of the films.
As did I.
Yeah.
But it's John Watts. There's a few screenwriters on this. John Watts, who directed a lot of the recent Spider-Man films, so big name there. Guy Busick here, who has written some great movies. Ready or Not from a few years ago, great horror film. Abigail's supposed to be very good. Did the two recent Scream films, and Laurie Evans Taylor, who's got some interesting horror stuff on her CV as well. So these are, I think, just high quality writers. These directors, a pair of directors who I wasn't familiar with, but just really just have a good handle on this. They got the tone bang on. I'm so impressed.
Genuine tension, genuine humor. To merge those two consistently in pretty much every scene.
The tone is bang on.
Some emotion, not too much. Now there was a trailer before we watched it of I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Yeah.
Looks absolutely banging.
That looks good as well.
I would have loved to walk from this movie into that movie.
It's like we're back in the 90s and the noughties with all these Scream, Final Destination.
I'm calling it now, right? I'm calling this just from the trailer of I Know What You Did Last Summer. Freddie Prinze Jr. is the killer.
Yeah, but if that seems really obvious if they do that, right?
or
boring.
Jennifer Love Hewitt. One of those two has to be. The end of the trailer looks so fun when Jennifer Love Hewitt just turns to someone and goes, "What did you do last summer?" I was just on such a vibe now for that as well. And then finally, we do want to say that we're
crossing a train track. I'm so
nervous. We are
nervous.
crossing a train track. I didn't realise that in the modern year of 2024, when this was made, that everyone in America has wind chimes all over their houses, all over their porches. There was great wind chimes homages to the first film, where of course we saw a lot of wind chimes.
So much wind chimes. Yeah, Why does Death signpost himself so much?
My dad has wind chimes in his house, and I'm horrified and terrified for the next time we visit him. Truly. Anyway, we're gonna go away for a quick break, and when we come back, we will be talking about spoilers. But
before we do, though, I'd like to quickly shout out some of our new patrons over at patreon.com/theCinemile. So thank you to, we got a couple of new recent patrons. Thank you to Paul Clifford and to Anej J for joining for the price of a cup of coffee a month, probably a double latte, an oat latte. The price of an oat latte.
I don't think so. Oat lattes, as someone who drinks them, they're really expensive.
Okay, the price of a large Americano a month is all it takes, and then you get instant access to about 60 retro movies, which we do one every month as part of our retro movie club. We just watched Little Miss Sunshine as part of our movie Misfits theme, which was a lot of fun.
Great rewatch.
Obviously, you get the Final Destination chat from I was watching the first film, and you get loads of TV stuff. Like what, Kathy?
Like Andor.
And
like Skeleton Crew, which we saw one of the directors of Skeleton Crew was involved in this.
John Watts directed 2 of those.
Big Skeleton Crew fans
episodes,
over
I think.
here. For
Yeah.
anyone who hasn't watched it, it's a great Disney Star
Yeah,
Wars kids shows.
we're watching The Last of Us.
Yeah,
There's
loads
loads
going
of TV chat there as well, and of course you get to chat with us and our lovely community in the brilliant community section. So patreon.com/the Cinemile. Quick ad now, then Spoiler Street. Okay, so full spoilers now for Final Destination Bloodlines. So firstly, I think it's interesting, good reference with the Halloween remake, because Jamie Lee Curtis's character in that is Iris from this movie. It's
Yeah.
exactly the same character, a shut-in living in a cabin,
It was like directly from that.
who is an absent maternal figure. It's
Yeah.
the exact same thing.
But can we go? But you're skipping ahead.
Sorry, yeah. Start from the beginning.
Opening sequence
Oh, what a great use of that song as well. Shout!
Incredible.
You make me want to shout.
and Ring of Fire.
Yes.
As soon as they played Ring of Fire, Dave was like, "They're all burning."
And then, but the creme brulee crack. I love the little clues it gives you when you're waiting for
and
like.
the penny. This
Oh, that penny has done some damage over the
will
decade.
do untold damage to this town.
Death loves that penny.
Funnily,
when the penny drops.
Death's always a he in these movies, by the way. I find that interesting.
Yeah, men are responsible for most violent.
That is true.
violent
Yeah,
deaths in our world, aren't they?
usually, yeah, that's a very good point. The opening sequence was spectacular, and it did that thing whereby they make you think that like they keep showing you things that aren't going to kill anyone, making you think they are, like when they first get in the elevator and there's like the gap in the doors and they're like maximum 6 people and they're like, come on in fellas, there's like 20 people
Sorry,
in this
the
lift.
lack of safety protocols in this place. I know it's about like the 60s or whatever, but it's just like opening night. And I love the elevator porter guy who's just like, oh, it always does this. It's opening night. What are you talking about?
We've
It
all
always
met-
does this.
We've all met
Come
people
on
like
in.
that though, who just want to look cool in their job and they're like blatantly going
Yeah.
against health and safety.
I was so tense though in that
I was
elevator
so
lift.
tense in that, and then like you think the ground's gonna, like the little boy starts stamping. At that point I was like, I cannot wait for this little boy to get his dues.
That little boy was
When the piano fell
villain.
on
He
him.
was the villain of the whole movie.
The
He was
cinema
fantastic.
cheered when the piano fell on him.
That was so funny.
It's so funny. Like we can't even get into all the elaborate like
Oh my God.
shenanigans that went on in there. But what made it really interesting was it was like the 50s or 60s, maybe 50. I don't know when it was, but
60s, I'd say.
then when Iris finally met her death, which was horrific.
Oh,
And
the finger and
Oh,
the ring. Oh,
Disgusting. And the little boy she was looking after. And then
I called that was Tony Todd
you
pretty
did
early.
call, and it was very clever of you, Dave.
I just wanted you all to know how clever I
You
am.
were so clever. And then basically the granddaughter woke up in the cinema, and that's when I went, huh? Because we have been programmed to think that we're going to see Iris stopping it.
Yeah. It's
So
a
it
nice little
already-
twist, isn't it? Yeah.
Already it was defying our expectations, and I think the film then continued to do that, just playing with us. Like, it's no longer about like the sequencing order of, say, the first one, where it's like who was sitting where on the plane and who should have died. It's like we're going through like to the birth order.
Yeah, but
that was really
before that,
cool.
I love the idea that death. The reason that he's only getting to them now is because he's been so busy. Because she saved 100 people that night, and they all went on to have kids. So death. I love this idea of death is just like overwhelmed. Like his workload is so.
Well, because I guess he's to go
big.
about his everyday job. His 9 to 5
Exactly.
is killing people normally.
And then he's got to
Then
do all
he's-
this shit on top of his
He
normal
was so
load.
excited for when the Sky Tower team were like, we're going to finish up this project 5 months early. He was like, this is my
Great.
moment.
Gonna kill them all.
This is my big day. Iris has ruined it for me. And the idea that she kind of had the unborn child as well inside her makes me think that, I guess I was going to say that he should have died sooner because Iris only died in the cabin when she stepped outside the cabin. But that's what, like, one of the many references, like Devon Seawell goes off and hides in a cabin in the first one. There were so many references. Like, there's a point in the first one where Devon Seawell almost like drowns, like it's basically in a puddle, like very shallow water. That happened in this one. There was the bus coming and hitting someone, that almost happened in this one.
Yeah, they play with your expectations.
played
the
with
logs,
us.
of course, at the end.
Of course, the logs,
Fantastic.
yeah,
Fantastic.
brilliant. Love to see it. I thought the family dynamics, like, they made a genuinely interesting family that I cared about.
I agree. I kind of felt like probably the daughter was the only one who was maybe underserved.
The blonde daughter, yeah.
She didn't get a whole lot of screen time.
She got the least.
But everyone else,
Her death was so funny.
I really cared about her death. Oh my god, I laughed so hard. Like it's the
poor uncle.
When the football hit her in the face into the bin.
Oh my god, like that. And the
it's
two
gory
scenes
as well.
we've seen in trailers were the barbecue scene and the tattoo parlor scene.
Yes. And another I like that they did a twist that we all assumed, having seen the marketing, that he's dead now and he's the first.
Yeah.
And that was another genuine great little twist.
And for a second I thought then she'd had a premonition, but then I was like, no, but she doesn't know what's happened to him. That was, but also he didn't even have a scuffle on his nose. But the irony is that nose ring is what killed him in the end.
I know. Well, it was one of the. Oh come on, the MRI machine.
Sick.
Horrible. That's one of the all-timer Final Destination deaths. Like it was all the the reveal of all the piercings. When the nipples shut up, I like no, that's awful. And then his penis. I was like, oh my god.
And in the wheelchair.
Oh.
And it's funny because we were like whispering to each other. We weren't near anyone in the cinema because it was really quiet. And we were like, it's gonna be the ring from the machine. And I'm like, no, it's gonna be the wheelchair.
You called the magnet.
And then
we were whispering to each other. You called the magnet straight away when you saw the MRI machine. You called.
Turns out it was all of the things though. Whereas in some of the other scenes they mess with us, like in the barbecue sequence, they're showing us the shards of grass, they're showing us the gas, but then what it actually was the lawnmower. So they're kind of playing with us, like with all those elements.
Chekhov's glass. That was so.
Oh my god, the glass was so good. Every time anyone took a sip, we were like, like we were so tense. And then like the plot, the twist again, where your man then wasn't the biological son.
That's funny. He was a great actor.
Really good, yeah.
He was very funny.
And it was actually like really sad because he's grieving his dad, and then like he's even written dad on his arm and everything, and then he finds out he's not his biological son. And he's trying to deal with that, and everyone's like, oh, fuck off. We're trying to figure out the bloodlines here.
No, yeah. His reaction to whatever the name was, Jerry something. And then he says, is that why he kept wanting to play catch with me?
That was so funny.
There's a lot of legit good comedy beats in this.
And there's stuff that the film didn't ever over-explain just by saying that, in the look of like disgust on his face. It's obviously like an annoying neighbour.
Yeah.
Our whole cinema laughed again because it was just really funny. And then he kind of runs off. And then I love how the blonde son's like, okay, never mind any of that, but I've read, what does he say? I've read Gammy's murder book, and I know that I could like die and fall down the toilet or something. Like the murder book made me laugh so much because all it was these like insane sketches of things like barbecues.
It's like, okay, this is where it's like, what are you talking? They're carrying around this book as if it's going to tell them how to. It's like, pictures of barbecues. It's like, what does this mean? It doesn't mean anything. It's just newspaper clippings of things that happen that aren't helpful.
That Iris's house was a cinder box of gas.
Well, this is the thing.
That was the worst. Why
would she have a gas line going in?
It was the only one that made no sense. And because they ran out of time because they spent half an hour on the opening restaurant scene. But like when they get to Gammy's house or Iris's house and they open the door, one spark goes and the whole thing blows up. That was very poor.
It was absurd that they thought, it doesn't make any sense, that they thought this is the only way to do this is in that cabin, specific cabin, which
absurd.
As if it's got some magical powers.
Because Iris, like in fairness,
but it wasn't the cabin that did it. It's Iris looking for the signs.
Yeah, but
you
Iris
can die in the cabin.
Had death coming to her for 20 years, and she only died when she stepped outside. So like, I would have fair confidence in that cabin.
But we saw like our protagonist was in the cabin with Iris when death tried to get her with the magnifying glass on the bit of rope. So inside the cabin's not safe.
What would you do in this situation though?
You just you isolate yourself and you have to be alert all the time.
Exactly.
It's not about the place.
But I'm saying, and if you are like, I'm about to die any minute, there's a place nearby that I know someone has already future-proofed.
Okay, I get it.
You would go there.
But they went to extraordinary, dangerous lengths to get to this specific place.
But like, what makes no sense?
Just go to a hotel room.
What makes no sense about the place is she had gas in there.
I know.
Of all the things you're
as if Iris would have a gas line going in
there. It's so
there.
interesting though that Iris was like keeping the whole family protected and alive, but because then she knew she'd cancer, she knew she was about to die anyway.
She had to show them.
She stepped outside to give her crazy murder book to the granddaughter. I just love the idea of it all. It's so clever.
It's very good. It's
way better than what
concept.
I thought, which was that it was going to be your one from the first movie had been pregnant and it was like her kids, which would have been this. You know when Lego sequels and movies always try and pay homage, and I know your biggest bugbears with like Star Wars, where they always bring everything back to the Skywalkers. This film shows that you can just introduce a new family.
Yeah.
They do a lovely little tie-in with the little boy turning out to be the man from the funeral home who's in all the movies.
That's enough.
But they didn't even need it. It was just icing on the cake.
Now, I'll also say that they're probably tied into a corner because I think all those characters are dead anyway.
Well, I know, but like, you know yourself, they could have been like, oh, Devon Siwa had a brother, or, you know.
Yeah, you're right. They didn't. And they resisted the worst impulses.
Because they created such an incredibly spectacular opening sequence and a character, Iris, that we really, really care about.
Oh, the two actors at the beginning were
they
solid
were
as well. I thought they were good, yeah.
Bringing... All we needed was a really lengthy scene with them. Oh boy, which we got. Particularly her. And... yeah, then we're like, cool, this is the bloodline we're following. We don't need to know anything about anyone else. It's totally fine to stand alone. Now, the ending, we haven't talked about the very ending. Brilliant.
Yeah, what a funny little thing there. This is Jenny's dad, Dr. Rennick. And he's like, you didn't die. You didn't die.
Do you know what? He actually kind of like your typical asshole doctor who's just like so arrogant. He's like, you didn't die.
This pedantic moment.
It's like, let him think he saved his sister. And also, like, I like that death is a bit of a naughty sense of humour because...
with the penny? Yeah.
No, before the penny, like, they think they've outsmarted death. And a little bit of time has to have passed because they've just buried their entire family and they seem in like good spirits.
Yeah.
So I'd say at least a few weeks have passed.
Oh, he lets you get comfortable.
He's like, okay, you go off and get ready for your prom. I see what you're doing there. You think your sister died. Great. And then the two logs going through them, and it's so like the end of the first one when your man just gets killed in Paris at the end.
That's the thing. This movie knows all the beats it has to hit, but it doesn't. What I really admire about it is it's not lazy. It's not just like here's all you need. Here we'll just give you exactly what you want, and we would have been happy enough. But this movie had the audacity to actually be good and be better, and to introduce characters who were good, to be funny, to have a tight screenplay, to have incredibly well choreographed death scenes, to play with our expectations. Like it's whip smart, this movie, and I'm super impressed by it.
Way better than I expected it to be. That old penny, that is a naughty penny. What that penny did to that train track at the end. First of all, I would estimate it's physically impossible.
I'm sure most of what happens is physically impossible. Can MRI machines do that? Do they have the potential to become super magnets?
Yeah. What you do is you press manual override off, and then you keep pressing the up button, and then it can actually suck the entire hospital in.
It's got to 6.0 megawatts.
When that nurse is just like, like her pen's moving.
Yeah, so funny.
Oh my god, never mind when your man ate the peanuts.
How about, I know, yeah, pretty gross.
And when he tasted the peanut, because in fairness, like, look, peanut butter Reese cups.
Good choice. I loved that when he was like, wait, I gotta go out of here. How about, sorry,
oh my god, he's finally tasted a peanut.
Possibly the goriest detail in this was, for me, when his head gets split open by the metal twisting thing from the vending machine, but it keeps moving from the. It's like twisting in the middle of his head because of the magnet.
The least gory. Oh no. Wait, sorry, no, it was really gory, but at the beginning the sisters was just funny because it was the leaf blower, the soccer ball, the bin into the truck.
So funny.
But then her head got like chopped off by the truck. That was disgusting.
We gotta shout out
she was underwritten. I wish they'd given her just a few more lines, even. Like, they just made her inconsequential, and at that point the characters were also used to everything. You could have, though, and at that point the characters were also used to everyone dying that no one even paid attention to her dying. They were just like, cool, okay, we believe you now.
Who's next? What next? But I think we should shout out the gore effects. That looks like, because that was pretty shocking, it
was disgusting,
the garbage compactor thing, but that looked to me, I'd love to know how they did it, because it looked like it was a practical effect. I think they've exploded a dummy there or something. Like, it looked amazing. It looked really good.
The only fake stuff in this film was like the outside of the restaurant at the beginning, which I'll forgive them for. I don't expect them to
some of the restaurant stuff is a little it's quite CGI.
For a minute, when it started and we saw the restaurant, I was like, is this a not so distant future scenario?
It had that vibe, didn't it?
Yeah, because also we didn't know that it was like a flashback, so I was like, when's this set? I thought
had
it was
the
set
same
way in
thought.
the future. And again, I was like, it's Devon Siwa's like great granddaughter, but she lives in a society.
She lives in the Fantastic Four sort of 60s retro future.
Yeah. Anyway, it was so good. I'm absolutely
Wow.
buzzing. And now we're going to Mission Impossible next week.
Do you know what has to happen now?
What?
When a franchise, now the only thing you can do with a franchise now, and Friday the 13th did this as well, is you have to go to space. You have to do
Fast and the
Final
Furious did it as
Destination.
well.
No, it's Final Destination: the Final frontier.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
I mean,
Yes, Fast and the Furious did it
in a car.
As soon as you've done everything, you have to go to space.
Yeah, it's so funny because I'm sure this will be a big hit and they bring out another one, and already I know it won't be as good.
I don't know. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, look, I was super
I guess
impressed. Get these people back. They know what they're
They've
doing.
reinvented it, yeah.
Yeah,
All right,
so
okay. Well, thank you
really
everyone for
pleased.
listening. If you've seen Final Destination Bloodlines, get in touch with us on Blue Sky, Instagram, TikTok, Letterboxd. Let us know what you thought. We'd love to hear from you. Or thecinemal@gmail.com.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.
Maybe Death's not actually coming for our family. Because that would be crazy.
Good luck.